How much is enough? So in this video, I'm going to talk about how much is enough to actually have economic or financial freedom. And before doing that, you can go over to infuriated.com, especially if you're an expat or a high net worth individual, and see how I've helped people just like yourself in the past. Now, how much is enough to have economic and financial freedom? Now, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll assume it's either how much they're earning now or a bit less than that. I know whether they're earning £100,000 or US dollars now as a family, they assume, well, if I could have that much money in investments, then I'm financially free. Or they assume, well, if I no longer have to go to work, you can maybe take my current salary and minus 20 or 30% as an example. The problem with that measure is that basically, obviously, as we get older, our tastes can naturally change and we expect more. It's called lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation. So if you think about it, the average 18, 19, 20-year-old at university, their expectations tend to be quite low. Even in many Western countries, there's plenty of people living off 10, 15,000 US dollars a year as a university student. And for people like that, if they were paid a very small amount of money from, say, their parents' investments, they would think it's enough, probably do not need a part-time job. But obviously, naturally, as time goes on, our tastes change and so on and so forth. So I actually think a better measure of if you've got enough to be economically free is, can your basic needs be met? In other words, food and shelter and all those basic needs. Wants, like going to the cinema or supermarket or whatever, traveling, they are great, but ultimately, if you're in a problem like, you've lost your job and you really like your industry, you don't want to quit work, could you actually sustain yourself comfortably from your investments for a few years, covering your basic needs? That's the really important thing. It's a bit like retirees, right? Most people want to retire with a comfortable amount of money, but by the same token, the most important thing is to cover your basic needs, because also once you've got the basics need covered, then even if your lifestyle is going higher and higher and higher, provided you've got those basic needs covered from investments, if you have to go down here, it won't feel good for you, but ultimately it will be enough to sustain yourself. And not only that, but if you've got your basic needs covered in your own country, then actually, if you go overseas or you go to a cheaper place in your own country, it might actually be a comfortable amount of money. So for example, if you're living in the UK and you've got, say, 20 or 25 grand a year coming in from investment income, for example, that's much below the national income in the UK and most advanced countries, but obviously it would more than pay for your basic needs in some of the developing countries that many expats and digital nomads now live in. And if push came to shove, it would probably pay for the very, very basics in your own country. So I would say, as a starting point, it's much more achievable just to focus on what your basic needs are: food, shelter, water, and all those kind of things. And once you've actually achieved that in terms of saying, right, I could actually live if I quit my job tomorrow, maybe not in a fancy way, but I could live for my investments and cover my basic needs. I think that's the first step to actually having economic freedom.
Depends on every person's individual goals, how much money they want to invest, how long they want to invest. And I did not have at all the feeling from any bank with which I had contact with that they were interested in these things. Whereas with you, it was from the very beginning obvious to me that you had experience in these matters and also were interested in what I wanted to achieve. Anyways, I'm very, very pleased and positive to say that I believe I've picked the right one. The results in the last couple of years have overreached my expectations by far. And I see no reason why it should not continue. Of course, I can highly recommend him as your financial advisor for now and for the future, because hesitating is missing out.
So I'm investing a lot in the Middle East market, but the amount of returns I'm getting from there is very low as per the amount of returns I'm getting from the investment portfolio which you made for me. Obviously, the best result in market right now is Adam.